Watch out.
You ready?
I talk sports in my underwear.
No company lines, not politically correct, no punches pulled, and no holds barred. Welcome to Go Big or Go Home with Big Rich, the sports podcast for the sports fan. He wants your opinion and is going to give you his whether you agree or not. Have a question or an opinion of your own for Big Rich? Email gobigorgohome945@gmail.com. Just remember to always go big or go home. Here's Big Rich.
Hey guys, it is Big Rich, and we've been talking about this for a long time, and it is finally happening. It's the Go Big or Go Home podcast right here, right now on Facebook Live. We're going to be on our YouTube channel as well, Go Big or Go Home 945 on YouTube, and any place else that you catch your favorite podcast. We're checking it out today, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to be part of the show. We want your opinions, man. I want to know what you guys think. That's the whole premise of Go Big or Go Home. If you've listened to the segments every day on 94.5 The Beat here in Waco, Texas, it's all opinions. It's no holds barred opinions, and we want to, don't give me the company line. Don't tell me, well, maybe, no. I don't want to hear maybe possibly. I want to know what you guys think, because I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. But let me know what you think. Don't be trying to tell me what I want to hear or tell me what somebody else is going to want to hear. I don't care what everybody else is going to want to hear. I want to know what you think. And that's where the big difference comes in with this show. It's Go Big or Go Home, the podcast. And we are live right here on Facebook Live. Today it is Wednesday, February the 12th. And this is the premiere edition. And I'm very happy that all of you have decided to join the show. So here's the way you can get in touch with us. 945 SportsBeat on Twitter or Instagram. You can also hit us up right here if you're watching us on the live feed right now with a question. Feel free to do so. I'll be more than happy to answer those, and we will answer your emails throughout the week. This will end up being a weekly podcast, and it will be hitting every week at a designated day, hopefully on Wednesdays or Thursdays. We'll make sure and get all that consistency taken care of for you very, very soon. First thing we got to get into, though, I talked about it this afternoon on Go Big or Go Home, and it's college basketball. Look at college basketball right now. It's not men's and women's, by the way. Lady Bears, number 2 in the country on the coaches and the AP poll. The Baylor men, number 1 in both polls. I got to admit, I'm surprised that the Baylor men are number 1 in the country. Beginning of the season, I had them high. I didn't have them that high. But let's look at it from this standpoint. The college basketball scene is not what it used to be. Not even what it was 5 years ago. Not 10 years ago. It's not on the men's side. Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisville, all that good stuff. It's not that case anymore. Now you got teams like Baylor, San Diego State, Dayton, Florida State's in the picture. All these teams that you hadn't heard much of in the past. And on the women's side, it's the exact same way. It used to be you had UConn, you had Baylor, you had Notre Dame, you had South Carolina. Okay, fine. Now you've got a whole bunch of other teams involved in the mix, whether it's Oregon, again, Florida State, Gonzaga's in the picture. Their men's team has been very strong over the last several years, but now you've got Gonzaga women in the top 15 in the country. We were talking about it here in the office today. I firmly believe there are 10 or more teams that if I was putting my bracket together today, that I could legitimately put as the national champion, including Baylor. CBS came out with it the other day. They have Baylor as the number 1 overall seed. Those guys know something when they're talking about it. So when you're looking at this happening, you've got to take into consideration this may be the most challenging year for March Madness. When you put your brackets together, you know, as well as I do, you have that little thought in the back of your mind. Notre Dame's going to win this thing. North Carolina's going to win this thing. Kansas is going to win this thing. Kansas may not win the conference. Kansas, for the first time in a very, very long time, is probably not winning the Big 12. It's just the way it floats. Because this Baylor team is very strong, by the way. Coach Scott Drew, this is the best team he's had. Even better than that Elite 8 team he had several years ago. This is an extremely strong team. And when you look at what's happening in men's and women's college basketball, if anybody could tell me right now that they know beyond a shadow of a doubt who's going to win it, let's go to Vegas. because there is no possible way somebody could be that confident with the way these teams are right now. Spring training, Major League Baseball pitchers and catchers have reported. Yeah, pitchers and catchers have reported. I realize it's been kind of cold and nasty and funky around here, but hey, Florida and Arizona, the gloves are snapping with the ball, the bats are cracking, the grass is being cut, and we're getting ready to play some baseball. The Rangers are going to be better this year. You know, they signed Corey Kluber, and I think that's going to make a big difference. The big talk for everybody in the baseball world, though, is the Astros scandal, the sign stealing, the cheating, if you want to call it that. Sign stealing for me, now granted, I'm old school. I'll tell you up front, I'm old school. Sign stealing, if you could figure out, especially I played catcher for 26 years. If I could figure out the other team's signals, you betcha I was going to use it to my advantage. Now, will they do that with electronics and little buzzers and things you're talking about? Okay, that's taking it a little too far. If you can figure it out by figuring it out, that's a whole different discussion. A whole different discussion. But if you can't figure it out just by figuring it out, okay, now you're throwing a spitball. You are cheating. I'm as big a proponent as anybody. If you can get the advantage over somebody legitimately, fire away. And again, we appreciate everybody that's catching us on Facebook Live. Stan Mason, great to hear from you, man. Good to see you're doing well. Trouble, glad to see you're catching this too. But whenever you look at this whole scenario for the Astros, I don't care if you knew the pitch was coming, okay? You still got to hit it, first off. You're hitting a round ball with a round bat. The most difficult thing to do in sports. Am I saying the Astros were right? No, I'm not saying they're right. But it's just like the steroid issue. The steroids did not make you hit the ball. The steroids did not make you throw the ball. The ability to know that there's a curveball coming, okay, you still got to hit the stupid thing. And you don't know where it's coming. It could be on the inside corner, on the outside corner. It could be high, it could be low. There's a lot of different other aspects in this. Again, are the Astros wrong for doing this sort of thing? Yes. Was A.J. Hinch guilty? If Art Briles was guilty of the things that went on at Baylor, A.J. Hinch was guilty of the things that went on with the Astros. That's my easiest analogy for it. The manager / head coach has to know what's going on. And it's been said that he knew that stuff was going on and tried to control it. Ripped out the monitor. Okay, I heard a guy on one of these national talking box shows that brought up a very good point the other day. They should take all live technology out of the dugout. Does that put a crimp into making challenges? Yes, but it's an easy way to solve. You have somebody up in the press box, up in the coach's box that's watching the plays. He sends a signal down to the coach, or he sends a signal to the umpire. Just like they do in the NFL, inside the last 2 minutes, they have a referee inside there checking things out, and if they buzz the referee, they review the play. Simple. You take that live technology out of the dugout, that eliminates a lot of temptation. And that's, I think, where the situation came in. There was a fella that went through every pitch of every home game for the Astros in 2017. And the number of times he heard those trash cans being banged and all that. Okay, first off, this guy has way too much time on his hands. Entirely too much time on his hands. But secondly, it showed it wasn't uniform across the whole team. Some guys were getting the signals more than other ones. Things of that nature. So when you look at this whole thing with the Astros, yes, they were wrong, and there's going to be guys paying for it. I will promise you this right now. There will be Astros getting drilled this season, particularly by guys like, the New York Yankees, because that cost them a World Series. appearance. They're not playing the Dodgers this year in interleague, but I can promise if they were playing the Dodgers in Little League and in interleague, it'd be the same way. There would be fastballs going in ribs, maybe even an ear hole or two, and it's going to be part of the game. So, you know, whether you agree, disagree with what the Astros did, how they did it, any of that kind of stuff, and I don't agree with what they did, but it didn't win them the World Series. You know, knowing the pitches that were, it's just like the Patriots thing, and I crush the Patriots as much as humanly possible, almost as much as I crush the Cowboys. But this whole Spygate deal, if you know the play that's coming, if you know the defensive play or the offensive play that's being called by your opponent, you can work around that, but you still got to execute. You still have to block. You still have to throw the pass. You still have to complete the pass. You still have to run and hit the holes. So that's what I'm looking at with this, okay? That's the biggest thing that I'm looking at with this whole Astros scenario. Yes, it was wrong. Just like the steroid thing. Yes, it was wrong. But did it really win them a World Series? They played 82 games on the road. 81 games on the road. Didn't have it on the road. So, go along with that. Now we got to get into something that's a very big pet peeve with me, and this is something we'll get into each week on the show. And I definitely want to hear what you have that falls into this as well. Remember, 945 SportsBeat on Twitter. Go big or go home 945@gmail.com. I have some very, very strong pet peeves in sports. The biggest pet peeve that I have in sports is a fair weather fan. I can guarantee you, and you can write this down, it is 5:26 p.m. on February the 12th as I say this. Tom Brady goes to another team. You will not see a New England Patriots jersey in Waco, Texas. You will see all sorts of Tom Brady jerseys with whatever team he goes to, Los Angeles, Raiders, whoever. You'll see a ton of those shirts. You won't hear people talk the glowing New England Patriots. You know, the team of the decade, the team, horse crap. It's a bunch of garbage. Fairweather fans kill me. And anybody that's listened to the segment that I do every day on 94.5 The Beat in Waco, Texas, will understand. I crush the Cowboys. I crush Cowboy fans for one main reason. Most Cowboy fans are Fairweather fans. Listen to a Cowboys game. Check out NFL Network when they do one of those replays of the games throughout the season. When they're at home, and you tell me how many games last season the Cowboys had home field advantage with the crowd. Green Bay comes in, you got more green and gold in that crowd than blue and silver. God forbid the the Raiders, the Steelers, the Bears, the Eagles. The Eagles come in. You got as much green and white in that crowd as you do silver and blue. Now, if the Cowboys were 13-3 like they were Dak's first year, and we'll get into him in just a second, that would be a whole different discussion. Now you got Cowboy fans all over the place. Oh, they're the greatest thing in the world. Oh, my God, America's team. Look, okay, let's go back to that one for a minute. Folks, I hate to tell you this. They're not America's team. America's team is not 8-8. America's team is not average. America's team does not play 500 ball for a 25-year period. That ain't America's team. Sorry. Is it the Steelers? I don't know. Is it the Patriots? I don't know. I don't know that there is an America's team, because there are so many teams in the league that have a monster fan base. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of teams that have no fan base either. But you get teams like the Raiders, 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, the Steelers, the Patriots. Those traditional teams. Those teams that have a huge crowd, that wherever they go, they've got a huge crowd. Yeah. There's America's team. NFL Films named the Cowboys America's team. Only because they had to come up with a name for them. Look, all I'm telling you is this. The changes that they made, getting in Mike McCarthy, no problem. I like it. It's a good move. Then you look at the changes that they made coaching-wise. Again, I like a bunch of those changes. I'm not quite sure I would keep Kelvin Moore, but you got to give the kid a chance. You really got to give the kid a chance. So, okay, fine. Give the kid a chance. But when you look at what the Cowboys have for a schedule next season, and that's what I'm double-checking myself right here, the Cowboys' 2020 schedule is going to be brutal, folks. They don't have the dates yet, and they don't know the exact dates and weeks for the games. But you know who's playing who home and away. Okay, when you look at the Cowboys' schedule, and think about this for a minute, because, yes, there will be some changes, and, of course, the draft, and we're going to have a lot of fun with the draft. But when you look at the 2020 Dallas Cowboys schedule, their home games, they will have the Giants. Now, tell me when you find one that they're going to have home field advantage. The Giants, the Eagles, and the Redskins, of course. The Arizona Cardinals. San Francisco 49ers. Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Atlanta Falcons. They might have home field advantage in 2 of those games. Maybe 2. Possibly 3. Arizona's going to be in. But you got to remember, Kyler Murray's got family around here. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield's got a bunch of family, a bunch of fans from OU. Steelers, come on. I assure you, there will be more black and gold in that stadium than silver and blue, and I'll guarantee you that one. On the road, they play the Ravens, the Bengals, the Rams, the Giants, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Redskins, and the Vikings. Not to mention the fact that's a really tough schedule. Forget the home field stuff. Forget the home field advantage. That's a very, very difficult schedule. Vikings, playoffs last year. Seattle, playoffs. Eagles, playoffs. Rams, Super Bowl team 2 years ago. Yeah, Cincinnati's a dumpster fire. Washington will be better with Ron Rivera. Baltimore. I want to see Lamar Jackson running all over the Cowboys defense. The Giants, okay, I don't know what this new coach has got. Nobody knows what this new coach has got. We know he's got a new quarterback. Daniel Jones is going to be the guy because Eli's gone. Philly's Philly. If Philly's healthy, Philly's a good team. They were an team this year because every receiver they threw out on the field left on a stretcher. They had more guys on IR than any other team in the league. It was ridiculous. Cardinals, they're an up-and-comer, but they're not great. San Francisco, you saw they made it to the Super Bowl. Cleveland, up-and-comer. Pittsburgh almost made the playoffs with their third-string quarterback, their third-string running back, and a bunch of fruits and nuts running around the field because the bowl was dumped. You had no Ben. You had no Juju. You had no James Conner. You had that whole setup was gone. The defense is what made the Steelers. And anybody that wants to say anything different is crazy. I'll even tell you, when they started out 0-3, I told people here at the office, I told people on Go Big or Go Home Monday through Friday at 5:55 on 94.5 The Beat in Waco. I told people, if they go 8-8, I am the happiest guy in town. And I was. Not to mention the fact that 8-8 almost got them in the playoffs. Hey, okay. And then they play Atlanta. God only knows what you're going to get with Atlanta. Let's be honest. You never know what you're going to get with the Atlanta Falcons. It's okay. Great. The question is, now with the Cowboys, what happens with Dak Prescott? You spent the money. You signed Ezekiel Elliott. Good for you. Average running back. Okay, here it comes. Everybody's going to lose their cool now because I just called Zeke an average running back. Ezekiel Elliott is not, and I repeat, not an elite running back. Sorry, is not an elite running back, and people can get upset with me all you want. I don't care. A running back like Ezekiel Elliott, if you aren't putting 1,500 yards or more on the sheet every season, you're average. You're good. Is he good? No question. And we'll get into Hall of Fame discussion in another episode, because the Hall of Fame has become the Hall of Very Good. Baseball and football both. But we'll get into that on another show. But what I'm looking at with this, when you think about the running backs that had the yardage this season, okay? Think about this for 1 second. You had a guy like Derrick Henry who ran his brains out, especially the second half of the year, because they didn't use him much first half of the year. Didn't use him much at all the first part of the year, actually. But you got a guy like Derrick Henry who ran the ball like crazy. Christian McCaffrey, who would be, by the way, kind of the anti-Derrick Henry, because he sure ain't that big. Nick Chubb, 1,494 yards rushing this past season. Didn't even hit 1,500. Christian McCaffrey, 1,387. Zeke, 1,357. Chris Carson of the Seattle Seahawks, 1,230. And here's the kicker. Here's the one that I dearly love. Do you people understand who the fifth leading rusher in the National Football League was this past season? Lamar Jackson, a quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. And he was second, in the AFC. Second in the AFC. Are you listening to me? There's no elite running backs in the league, guys. This is what I'm trying to explain. There are no elite running backs in the NFL right now. Are there a bunch of good ones? Yeah, of course. But there are no elite ones. Wide receiver is almost as bad. Wide receiver, to me, you have 4 or 5 elite receivers. And that's it. A.J. Green has fallen off because he's hurt constantly. Julio Jones had a bad year this year, but okay, I'll leave him in there. Michael Thomas is a stud. Period, end of discussion. And DeAndre Hopkins is right there with him. There's not much past that, guys. Mike Evans is almost there. Curtis Godwin's almost there. Devontae Parker's trying to get there. But when you sit there and you look at the receivers who, Antonio Brown, again, we'll get into that one in another episode. And I hope that he gets everything straight with him. I really do. But when you look at these wide receivers, especially, Amari Cooper's not elite. He's good. He's not elite. None of these guys with the Rams, forget that. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, come on. Give me a little bit of help here. So now we get into the quarterback situation, which is where Dak Prescott sits. Dak Prescott could get the franchise tag. Would cost the Cowboys $33 million to do an exclusive franchise tag. Non-exclusive is going to cost them $28. Big difference. Any team that comes along and offers 2 and gives 2 first-round draft picks to the Cowboys can take Dak Prescott straight from the Cowboys. Now, if you're a team, i.e. the Cincinnati Bengals, maybe the, Los Angeles Chargers, Chicago Bears, would you give up 2 ones for a quarterback like Dak Prescott? Maybe, possibly. I'm not sold that he's a $35 million a year guy. He turned down 33 last season. He's going to want 35 to 40 million. Elite quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, he threw for 4,900 yards. Hey, good on him. How much of that was junk time when the Cowboys were losing to teams that they had no business losing to? Or when they were losing games that they should have won because the team wasn't that much better than them, but they didn't win. That's where part of the problem comes in also. Putting up numbers is great. Phillip Rivers has put up huge numbers. He is 5th in active quarterback passing yards. The guy hasn't even smelled a Super Bowl. Only way he's going to a Super Bowl is if he buys a ticket. There's a massive difference in an elite quarterback and a quarterback that puts up numbers. Because you look at the passing yard leaders this past season in the NFL. Jameis Winston, 5,100 yards. Okay. Dak Prescott, 4,900 yards. Jared Goff, 4,600. Phillip Rivers, 4,600. Matt Ryan, 4,400. You know what all 5 of those guys have in common? They all watched the playoffs the same place we did. From their couch in their house, because they weren't playing. Then you get to guys like Russell Wilson, who I will classify him as an elite quarterback. Russell Wilson's an elite quarterback in this league. Derek Carr is good. Carson Wentz, stay healthy. Then we can talk. Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's still elite, but he's on the downhill slide just like the guy that wears 12 in Boston. Garoppolo, Mayfield, Kyler Murray's got the potential to do it. Fitzpatrick, Dalton, Gardner Minshew. Lamar Jackson's got the potential to do it. So does Patrick Mahomes. I'm not forgetting about the Chiefs. Trust me, folks. But look at the elite quarterbacks in this league right now. Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes. I would even give you Lamar Jackson. Outside of those guys, please find me an elite quarterback in this league. Not talking about one that puts up numbers. Because as we've just seen, any of them can put up numbers. The top 10 guys in passing yards, Russell Wilson made the playoffs, Carson Wentz made the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes made the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers made the playoffs. And they're all in the 6 through 10 range. That tells you something. That definitely tells you something. So, that being said, would you pay Dak Prescott the same type of money that's going to take about 20% of your salary cap? All right, Cowboy fans, let's hear it. I'm serious. If I'm the Cowboys, I do one of two things. I trade the guy. Plain and simple. Because you probably could, depending who you went to, you probably could get 2 1s, a 1 and a 2 maybe, for him. You go to Miami, they might give you 2 of their 3 first-round picks. Something like that. I could see that. I could definitely see that. And Dak would do fine. But you got to look at who Dak has beaten and who he hasn't beaten. How many teams has he beaten in his career that were better than the Cowboys? Games that he shouldn't have won. Games that the Cowboys were underdogs in. And then look at how many games he has lost to teams that had no business losing to, i.e. the New York Jets this past season, who got their first victory against the Cowboys. Now, I realize that football is the ultimate team sport, and the quarterback doesn't do everything. But the quarterback is the one that's in charge of this whole thing. When they do great, he gets all the praise. Well, guess what? When they do lousy, he should get all the ridicule as well. Instead of giving it to everybody else, it should fall square on the shoulders of the quarterback. Which is why Andy Dalton is not going to be in Cincinnati next year. They're shopping him for a trade. If you could work a deal, let's just, for argument's sake, Cowboys trade Dak Prescott to Cincinnati for the number 1 overall pick and Andy Dalton. Or the number 1 overall pick and the Cincinnati Bengals number 2 pick this year. What do you think? What do you think? You got to look at it from that standpoint. Do you pay the money and you're going to lose guys to do it? Byron Jones is already gone. You're probably going to lose Amari Cooper. You're very possibly going to lose Amari Cooper because what you already paid Ezekiel Elliott, and you got to look at you're going to have to pay Zach Martin before long. Do you pay Robert Quinn? You already paid Tank Lawrence, which I thought was an absolute joke. A 100% joke. Let Robert Quinn do what he does, and they should have let Tank Lawrence walk. Because the minute he signed his contract, he went and had his shoulder surgery. They had all the chips. Go get your surgery, show that you're 100%, and then we'll sign you. It's amazing to me. It really is. And we'll get into a lot more NFL stuff. Free agency's right around the corner. We'll have a lot to talk about that. But again, I want your opinions on this. I'm giving you mine. Like it or not, you're getting my opinions. But I want yours. I may not like them, but they're your opinions. And I want you to be able to have that sounding board to be able to say, this is what I think. And hopefully it results in some pretty cool discussions over time too. And we'll be doing some interviews over time as well. But 945 SportsBeat on Twitter, Go Big or Go Home 945 at gmail.com, or when we're recording on Wednesday afternoons, you can hit us up here on Facebook Live at the same time. Now, there's one other thing I want to get into before we wrap things up for today, because we will cover it all. Baseball, football, basketball. I'll talk hockey. I got no issues talking hockey. Tennis, golf, wrestling, WWE. A couple of weeks from now on Thursday, they're doing another one of these shows in Saudi Arabia. The only reason they're doing these shows in Saudi Arabia is because there is a Saudi prince who, it's well known, has paid Vince McMahon to bring all these people over there to put on the show. First thought on that is it must be nice to have that kind of cash. But the other thought on this is you're getting matches that people could honestly care less about. No one, and I think that I can legitimately speak for most people, nobody cares that Goldberg's going to wrestle The Fiend. Couldn't care less. Could not care one bit less. And it's the same way with a lot of these other matches that they're going to have down there. They're throwaway matches. A lot of them have nothing to do with the trends and the storylines that they've been running. And they have nothing to do with the rivalries that are going. And you're on the road to WrestleMania right now. You just finished the Royal Rumble a couple weeks ago. You have all these possibilities of ways to work things leading to WrestleMania on the 1st of April. But no, we have to throw a monkey wrench into everything and go to Saudi Arabia for this event that no one cares. In fact, people don't care so much. It's taking place on a Thursday afternoon. Anybody got a schedule that's going to let them watch this thing from noon to 3 on Thursday afternoon in 2 weeks? Very small percentage of you folks, I'm sure. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't get what they're doing with this thing. I don't get what they're doing with the whole Bray Wyatt deal. And we'll, of course, talk Raw, SmackDown. If you want to talk WWE, AEW, New Japan, whatever, we'll get into that too. We're going to cover it all on this show. That's what I keep wanting y'all to know. It's going to be a little bit of everything. It will be the topics of the day, though. And we can always get into a little bit of history, but it's going to be the topics of the day. And as I say every day on 94.5 The Beat in Waco, Texas, no holds barred opinions. You're not going to get any holds barred from me. And I don't expect you guys to hold back either. 945 SportsBeat on Twitter. Go Big or Go Home 945 at gmail.com. Or like I say, when we film this on Wednesday afternoons, please feel free to catch us on the 94.5 The Beat Facebook page and shoot us your opinions. You know, we definitely would love to get a chance to get that from you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first edition of the Go Big or Go Home podcast. I definitely appreciate you taking your time to listen and be a part of the show. I hope you like it. My name is Big Rich, and until next time, so long, everybody.
Can't get enough of Big Rich's hot takes? Catch Go Big or Go Home every day, Monday through Friday at 5:55 p.m. on 94.5 The Beat in Waco, Texas. Until next week, whether it's your sports opinion or life itself, always remember to go big or go home.